The music was a steady thrumming in my chest. The lights were so bright little spots danced in my vision. All round us people were laughing, celebrating. I could hear the clatter of plates and the clinking of glasses. It was supposed to be a happy night. I was moving through it all, smiling at the right times, saying the right things, playing the part of the proud parent. It felt like a costume I was wearing. I saw you standing with your friends. You looked so beautiful, but you seemed a million miles away. Your smile didn't quite reach your eyes. Every time I tried to catch your gaze, you'd turn to talk to someone else. I kept telling myself it was just how teenagers are at parties, but then you looked right at me just for a second, and in that look I saw something I didn't want to see. It was something I said. I don't even remember the exact words. I was probably bragging about you, comparing you to someone else's daughter, trying to make myself look good. I saw the change in your face. Instantly, the polite mask you'd been wearing just dissolved. What was left was so raw, so tired. Your voice was quiet, but it cut through all the noise. It didn't shake, it was steady and sure. You looked right at me, and your eyes were shining with a sadness I had never let myself see before. And you said it, I wish I had a real mother, not you. The party didn't stop. The music kept playing. Someone laughed loudly nearby, but for me, everything just went silent. The sounds became a dull whir, like I was at the bottom of the ocean. All I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears. My first thought was to get angry, to tell you how ungrateful you were, to list all the things I'd done for you. But the words died in my throat, because a flood of memories washed over me. All the times I was too busy with work to listen. The school events I missed, the promises I broke because something else seemed more important. I saw the pattern of my absence, and I saw how it built a wall between us. My hands started to feel cold and shaky. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. You just turned and walked away. You didn't make a scene. You just left me standing there, and the space where you had been felt emptier than anything I'd ever known. The glittering lights and the loud music felt like they were mocking me. I stood there completely still, a statue in the middle of a moving crowd. And I finally understood a real mother isn't about providing a perfect life. It's about being truly present for the imperfect one. It's about showing up, not just paying for things you didn't wish for. A different mother because she'd be richer or cooler. You wished for one who was really there. And in that terrible quiet moment under the party lights, I knew you were right. Of course, here is the text written directly as a voice. The music was loud, the lights were bright and kind of blinding, and all around me people were laughing. You know that sound at a party, the hum of a dozen conversations, the clink of glasses. It all just felt like an illusion, a disguise. And I was right in the middle of it, playing my part, smiling, nodding, saying the right things, performing the role of the good parent. I saw her across the room, my daughter. She looked radiant, but distant, like she was on the other side of a glass wall. Her laughter seemed a little forced, and every time I tried to catch her eyes, she'd look away. But for 1 second, just a moment, our eyes met across the dance floor. It was a fragile thing, a silent question hanging between us. I didn't have an answer for it. And then it happened. It was a small thing. I said something casual, thoughtless. I saw her expression change. The polite mask just fell away, and what was left was raw and honest. Right there in the middle of all that noise and celebration, her voice started to tremble. But it was firm. Her eyes were glassy with tears she was refusing to shed, and she said it. The words cut through the party chaos like a knife. You're just a cowardly fool. And the craziest part, the crowd kept laughing, the music kept playing, but the lights, they didn't feel festive anymore. They felt harsh, like they were exposing me, not illuminating the room. After she said it, everything just stopped. The sounds around me became muffled, like I was underwater. The colors all blurred together. All I could hear was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. My first instinct was to fight back, to defend myself, to explain it all away. But that impulse was just drowned by a tidal wave of shame and a terrible dawning realization. My mind flashed back to all the moments I let slip by, the conversations I avoided, the difficult choices I sidestepped, the slow, quiet erosion of her trust in me. My hands started to tremble, my throat tightened. I just wanted to disappear into the noise, and I understood with a cruel, intimate clarity that her anger, it was just a reflection, a mirror of a pain I had caused and then ignored for years. She turned and walked away, and the space she left behind was so silent, so empty, that not even the music could fill it. I just stood there, frozen, a statue of regret under a glittering disco ball, and in that stillness I finally understood the cowardice wasn't just about the things I didn't do. It was about my refusal to face love honestly, to be brave enough for the hard, messy truth. How I responded when my daughter said she wanted a real mom, I setting the scene. The moment every parent fears it was in the kitchen. A Tuesday evening, she was doing homework at the table. I asked her for the third time to please put her phone away. She slammed her book shut and looked right at me. Her exact words were, "I wish I had a real mom who actually understood me." The air just left the room. Every parent faces this kind of harsh criticism. It's a universal feeling of failure. And in that moment you have a critical choice. You can react with anger, with your own hurt, or you can respond with intention, to deconstructing the words real mother really means when a child says that it's never just about the words. It's a cry for connection they feel is missing. It points to unmet expectations, a gap between the parent they have and the parent they imagine. Sometimes it's a projection of their own pain onto you. You have to separate a complaint about a specific behavior from an attack on your entire character. Your instinct will be to defend yourself, to list all the things you've done, but that reaction is almost always counterproductive. It just tells them their feelings are wrong. 3. The power of pausing. Why I chose to sit in silence. I didn't say anything back, not right away. The psychological reason for that is to avoid escalation. You need a moment to regulate your own emotions, so you don't add fuel to the fire in that moment. Practical techniques are everything. I used box breathing. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. It grounds you. A silent mantra helps to just repeating to yourself, this is not about me, this is about her pain. You have to reframe that silence. It's not weakness, it's a strategic, empathetic choice to create space for healing, for the road to repair steps after the storm. The first conversation isn't the last. You have to initiate a follow-up. Wait until everyone is calm, maybe an hour later or the next day. The setting is key. A car ride works well because you're not staring directly at each other. Your opening line should be non-confrontational. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday. Can you tell me more about what you meant by a real mom? Menu. Practice active listening. Validate the feeling without agreeing with the accusation. You say, it sounds like you feel really misunderstood by me. That must be incredibly lonely. Finally, you co-create a path forward. Ask the question that opens the door. What does a real mother look like to you right now? What's one thing she would do differently? That question turns a complaint into a dialogue. The sting of her words went so much deeper than just disappointment. It was a physical shock, a cold wave that went straight to my bones. And in that moment, I didn't just feel like her parent who had failed. I felt like a small child again. The feeling was identical, the same hollow ache in my chest, the same hot shame on my face. It was an echo, a perfect, painful echo from 40 years ago. And I remembered a fleeting image of my own father, his back turned to me, his voice cold and dismissive, the same sense of being utterly insignificant, of being a disappointment for just being myself. Her words cowardly fool, they unlocked that old buried memory. They were the same judgment, just spoken in a different voice. All my life I've had these raw spots, these triggers. I never understood why a certain tone of voice could make me shut down completely. Why I'd feel a surge of panic at the slightest criticism. I was repeating the very patterns I swore I'd never repeat, the distancing, the emotional unavailability. I was giving her the same ghost of a parent that I had, and standing there with the party noise fading away, I saw the cycle so clearly. My anger, my defensiveness, it was right there ready to erupt. It was my first instinct, my learned response, but I saw where that road led. It led right back to this same moment. In 20 years with her standing where I am now, I made a choice right then to let that old pain rise up, to feel it fully without pushing it away or blaming her for it. I realized her anger was her own, her pain was real and valid, but my reaction to it, that was all mine. That was my unfinished business. So my job isn't to explain myself to her, not yet. My job is to finally explain myself to me, to understand why I became this person who avoids hard things. I need to face the child I was so I can finally be the parent she needs. This can't be about me defending my actions. It has to be about me understanding my reactions. It has to start with my own healing, maybe then from a place of honesty instead of shame. I can talk to her, I can show her that cycles can be broken, that we can both stop carrying this same old pain. This isn't just about fixing things between us, it's about freeing us both. The teenage brain is a construction site. It's a period of massive, messy renovation. The drive for independence is a biological imperative. She isn't just being difficult, she is trying to figure out who she is separate from you. Testing boundaries isn't rebellion, it's a necessary, if painful, part of forming her own identity. Devaluing a parent is a common, almost predictable step. In that process, it's about creating distance so she can see where she ends. And you begin when she said you weren't a real mom. That wasn't a factual statement, it was a symptom. It was an expression of a feeling so big and overwhelming that her brain couldn't process it rationally. In that moment, her amygdala, the alarm system, had taken over. It flattens everything into black and white. You're either all good or all bad. The attack is rarely about your actual worth. It's about her own internal struggle, her own pain projected outward. Because it's too much to hold inside. My role in that moment was to be the regulator, to not become dysregulated myself. If I had reacted with matching anger or hurt, it would have only confirmed her distorted high emotion view of the situation. The goal is to hold the space, to provide a calm, steady presence amidst her storm. My silence wasn't indifference, it was a container. It was showing her through my own Stillness, what safety feels like. It communicates that her big feelings won't destroy me or our relationship. After the storm passes, the work of rebuilding begins. You wait for a calm moment. Away from the heat of the argument, you reconnect without accusation. You might say, I felt hurt when I heard that, and I want to understand what's behind it. The focus shifts from winning the argument to repairing the bond. It's not about proving you are a real mom. It's about demonstrating through your patience and your willingness to listen that the attachment is stronger than any single painful thing said. In anger, the camera feels too close right now. I know I probably look like a mess, but I had to turn this on. I had to talk this out because what she said, it's just sitting here right in the middle of my chest. It was like a physical blow, a real actual punch to the gut. I just got home and still in my clothes from the party, and I have no idea if what I did was right. Staying quiet, just taking it, letting her walk away. Was that strength, or was it just more cowardice? I don't know. I keep replaying it. Not just the moment, but everything leading up to it. The last few months, the last year. Was it because I was working late so much? Was it that time I missed her school play because of a conference call? Or was it something smaller, 1,000 little dismissals? I didn't even notice a slow drift that I was too busy to see. Was I really that absent? Did I fail her in some fundamental way that I'm just now seeing? Because her anger, it felt so deep. It wasn't just about tonight. It felt like it was about everything. And the worst part is, from her perspective, she's probably right. Her truth, her pain is completely valid, and I have to sit with that. I have to accept that. My biggest fear right now is that this is it, that I've broken something beyond repair, that the trust is gone for good. But there's this tiny stubborn part of me that sees something else. The fact that she said it, that she was honest even with all that anger, it means she still believes on some level that I can hear it, that I might actually listen this time. And that's a terrifying kind of hope. I am not letting this be the end. This has to be the start of something harder, but something real. I have to find a way to talk to her, not to explain myself, but to finally hear her. I guess in putting this out here, because I can't be the only one. Has this happened to you? Has your child ever looked at you and told you a truth about yourself that you couldn't face? How did you find your way back? How do you start to rebuild that bridge after it feels like it's been burned? This parenting thing, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. The mistakes are so big, the regrets are so heavy, but the love has to be bigger. It has to be brave enough to face the hard, messy truth. And I'm going to try. I have to try. The music was loud. The lights were bright and kind of blinding, and all around me people were laughing. You know that sound at a party, the hum of a dozen conversations, the clink of glasses. It all just felt like an illusion, a disguise. And I was right in the middle of it, playing my part, smiling, nodding, saying the right things, performing the role of the good parent. I saw her across the room, my daughter. She looked radiant but distant, like she was on the other side of a glass wall. Her laughter seemed a little forced, and every time I tried to catch her I shed look away. But for 1 second, just a moment, our eyes met across the dance floor. It was a fragile thing, a silent question hanging between us. I didn't have an answer for it. And then it happened. It was a small thing. I said something casual, thoughtless. I saw her expression change. The polite mask just fell away, and what was left was raw and honest right there. In the middle of all that noise and celebration, her voice started to tremble, but it was firm. Her eyes were glassy with tears she was refusing to shed. And she said it, the words cut through the party chaos like a knife. You're not a real mother. And the craziest part, the crowd kept laughing. The music kept playing, but the lights, they didn't feel festive anymore. They felt harsh, like they were exposing me, not illuminating the room. After she said it, everything just stopped. The sounds around me became muffled, like I was underwater. The colors all blurred together. All I could hear was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. My first instinct was to fight back, to list every single sacrifice, the late nights at work so she could have those shoes, the birthdays I planned alone, the Christmas mornings where I had to be both Santa and Mom. I wanted to scream that I was the only one who showed up every single day. But that impulse was just drowned by a tidal wave of shame and a terrible dawning realization. My mind flashed back to all the times I was too tired to listen. The school plays I missed, the way I had to be the bad guy because there was no one else to be the good cop. My hands started to tremble, my throat tightened. I just wanted to disappear into the noise, and I understood with a cruel, intimate clarity that her anger, it wasn't just about me, it was about the empty chair at the dinner table. It was a wish for a different life, a complete family I could never give her. She turned and walked away, and the space she left behind was so silent, so empty, that not even the music could fill it. I just stood there, frozen, a statue of regret under a glittering disco ball, and in that stillness, I finally understood being a real mother wasn't about proving my worth to her. It was about having the courage to face that pain with her, to acknowledge the ghost of the family we weren't, so we could finally build the one we are. The house was finally quiet. I was cleaning up the kitchen after dinner, the warm water on my hands, the familiar routine. And she was just sitting at the table finishing her homework. It was one of those peaceful, ordinary moments I always try to hold onto. She looked up at me and her expression was so serious, so thoughtful. She said she was thinking about the mother-daughter dance at school next month. Then she said it just very simply, very matter-of-factly, "I wish my real mother could be here for it." And the world just slowed down. The word real hung in the air between us. It felt like a physical distance opening up. All the bedtimes I'd read to her, the sick days I'd stayed home, the school projects we'd struggled through together, in that one word. It felt like she placed all of that in a separate category, something less than real. My first instinct deep down was a sharp, selfish hurt. I wanted to ask her, what am I then? After all this time, I wanted to list every sacrifice, every moment of care, but I just kept washing the plate in my hands. I watched the soap bubbles slide down the porcelain. I knew with a sudden and absolute clarity that if I said any of that, I would be proving her point. I would be the insecure stepmother demanding something she wasn't ready to give. I would be forcing her to choose, and in that choice I would always lose. So I just took a slow breath. I put the plate in the drying rack and turned around, leaning against the sink. I looked at her and I said, "I can understand that it's a really special thing to share with your mom." I acknowledged her wish. I validated it. I didn't try to insert myself into that space, because her loyalty to her mother, however complicated that relationship might be, is sacred. It's not my place to challenge it. My love for her should never come with a condition that she has to diminish her love for someone else. I'm learning to let go of the need for a specific title. The goal is to be called Mom. The goal is to be the person she knows she can count on no matter what. Maybe I'm not her real mother in the way she means it, but I can be truly present. I can be a bonus, an extra adult in her corner, someone who chose to love her and keeps choosing to every single day. We build our own reality brick by brick in the quiet moments like this one. It's not about replacing a role, it's about creating a unique and honest connection that's entirely our own. The silence in the house after you left for your friends was the loudest sound I've ever heard. I sat on the floor in the living room for hours, just replaying your words. You're just a cowardly fool. They weren't just an insult, they were an indictment, and you were right. I had spent your whole life building a wall between us, brick by brick, with every excuse, every missed moment, every time I chose the easy path over the right one. That night I finally saw the wall I'd built, and I realized I was on the wrong side of it, completely alone. I knew I couldn't fix it with one conversation. Words felt too cheap, too easy to mess up, so I found a notebook and I started to write. I wrote for hours. I apologized for not being the mother you could talk to about the hard stuff. I apologized for all the times I pretended everything was fine when it wasn't. I told you that your anger was justified, that I saw the pain behind it, and that I loved you more than anything, even if my actions had never shown it properly. I left the notebook open on your bed, and I left the house for the day just to give you space. You didn't call or text, but when I came home you had made dinner. It was just pasta, but it was everything we ate in near silence. But it was a different kind of quiet. It wasn't angry, it was fragile. We started going for a drive every Sunday afternoon. No phones allowed at first. We'd just listen to music, then you'd start talking about small things. I had to learn to just listen to, not offer a solution for every little problem. I had to learn to just be there with you in whatever you were feeling. Last week we were sitting on the porch, and you brought it up. You said you were sorry for what you said at the party. I told you not to be. I told you your words were the shock I needed to wake up. You smiled a little and said, "Yeah, well, you're not a coward anymore." Then you leaned your head on my shoulder and said, "You're my best friend." And I knew it wasn't the easy kind of best friend. It was the kind that's been through a storm and knows exactly how to build a stronger shelter. The broken places are still there, but they're where the light gets in now.